LOL. Thank you. Thank you very much. I left your check on the chair. Thanks. I really want to thank Michelle because, you really said it all. You've been one of my best friends over the years and such a strong partner in this movement. And it's been easier to do these things because you've lent your celebrity to the cause. And I wish more celebrities would do the same thing and make it a lot easier for all of us. I want to thank my family and my closest friends for making it all the way out to Hop Hog. A lot of people were like, where is that? I want to thank David and James and Andy and Cynthia and the other staff members who made tonight happen. I know you guys, I know what it's like to work so hard to produce these events. You haven't slept in days. You did such a good job. I want to thank my boss, Governor Patterson, who hasn't been too popular in the news lately. But I want to recognize him for being somebody who's never asked me to wait when it came to pursuing rights for this community, ever. And I want to thank the New York State Senators, the members of Congress, and elected officials for having the courage to be here and stand with this community, even when it's inconvenient, and even when it might be a risk for you politically. I'm really humbled and appreciative to be here this evening and receiving this award. I believe in the words of my hero, Hillary Clinton, that it takes a village to raise a child. Who I am is a result of the contributions of so many. It's my mother and my father who provided a safe, nurturing, and loving home and always taught me to be true to myself and to stand up for myself. It's my aunts Maria and Jeannie who were my guardian angels in my life. With a Catholic mom, a born-again Christian aunt, a Mormon uncle, and an agnostic spiritual lesbian aunt, I think it's safe to say I had some diverse exposure and turned out pretty balanced. It was my grandma who taught me that the principle of non-negotiable, unconditional love. And it's the people I've befriended from Australia to Wales that taught me about our common humanity. It was teachers, professors, and employers through the years who reached their hands out to lift me up. And it's the folks who've inspired me, from David Mixner to Cleve Jones to Elizabeth Birch to Robert McGehee and so many more. In my teen years, before Will and Grace and Queer as Folk were on TV, I grew up feeling different without a fundamental understanding of who I was and almost no historical individuals to look up to. My history includes personal experiences with Don't Ask, Don't Tell and with Christian XK therapy, but my motivation stems from so much more. Several years ago, I was backpacking through Southeast Asia, and I remember seeing the international news coverage of politics in America. I remember conservatives gearing up to the 2004 elections by putting same-sex marriage bans on ballots across the country. I watched furiously as Karl Rove, President Bush, and conservatives used my lifestyle, my sexuality, as an instrument of fear to divide my country and to scare voters into thinking someone like me was out to destroy the social fabric of America. Was it worth it, Mr. President? Maybe I watched too much of The West Wing or too many Superman movies, but seeing this made me feel a strong desire to fight, and I cut my trip short and I came back to the United States and I started working with Hillary Clinton. I remember some very intense conversations I had with her, and specifically, and I'll never forget her telling me this, that she felt being gay was not a choice, but in fact that we were born this way. You see, if you accept that basic argument that we are in fact born this way, then how can we be denied our rights? The opposition knows this. And if you listen carefully to them, they often try to frame the argument saying that we're choosing this lifestyle and that we're trying to carve out our own set of rights and privileges based on that choice. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the core of this fight. The divide of folks who believe our lifestyle is a choice versus those who know we are born this way. This is the civil rights movement of our time. And we only win when we educate the majority that we are, in fact, born straight, lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. I remember being a kid, learning about the historical struggles for equality and thinking what an accomplishment the various civil rights acts were. We had finally honored this founding principle in this nation that all men and women are created equal, even if it took society some time to swallow that. But fast forward to today, and I find myself asking, how have we gotten back to this place again, where separate but equal is okay? Why is this lesson never learned? After equalizing women's rights and African Americans' rights and rights for the disabled, Are we that dense as a nation that we need to figure this out again? There is a genuine fear and ignorance that characterizes the majority of the opposition. There is clearly evil that we're also fighting against. We see radical religious groups trying to ban books in schools by gay authors. We see the state Senate in Oklahoma trying to pass a law that says they don't have to recognize federal hate crime protections for us. We see the Attorney General of Virginia telling university administrators that they shouldn't ban discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity. We see a school district in Mississippi canceling an entire prom for the entire class just so they don't have to let a lesbian couple attend. Why don't people see the damage that this is doing to the minds of our youth? I'm sick of our youth killing themselves because they feel abandoned in this world. Like I said earlier, I went through ex-gay treatment, and I know what it's like to have a room of people praying for demons to leave you when nothing changes, and you begin to feel like a lost cause. Fortunately, I had a supportive family, and I live in an LGBT-friendly region of the world, but every day kids with nowhere to turn to are subjected to this torture, while some families and churches heartlessly and faithlessly abandon them. I know too many youth who, because of isolation and rejection, have turned to promiscuous social circles and drug use for comfort and acceptance, or worse, even suicide. That's the extremities of the battle we're fighting, but I also want to talk about the invisible battle that I feel like we each have to face, which is that there is a genuine, true desire in our hearts about who we are and who we love versus these societal norms and the dreams of our own parents, guardians, teachers, employers, and elected officials who have for us based on centuries of tradition. I think we have to acknowledge that even though we know we're right, and damn it, we're right, we're going up against centuries of conditioning of a people, many of whom genuinely are just scared of change. And of course, the irony in all of that is that we're not really trying to change much at all. We're just trying to assimilate into existing traditions and institutions. I highlight this shadow struggle because I believe we have to approach the pursuit for equality a little differently, and particularly without assuming that people who are against our rights are just opposed out of hate. I'm not suggesting patience, because we've certainly waited long enough, but I'm suggesting revisiting strategy. I'm suggesting tweaking how we communicate and how we also organize and operate. I'm suggesting changing the cultures of LGBT organizations that too often model the societal hierarchy internally that we're trying to fight externally. I'm suggesting our institutions should never be about the legacies of the people that run them, but rather the tangible results the movement achieves when these institutions work together. I'm suggesting finding a common ground that embraces high-level political engagement, but harnesses the activism, passion, and energy that has given birth to movements like Marriage Equality New York, Get Equal, Queer Rising, and Broadway Impact. And I'm suggesting that our larger organizations do more outreach to communities of color to diversify membership, increase visibility, and invite more talent. And I'm suggesting we engage in more dialogue with wider swaths of people in this country, because I believe we can win this battle for equal rights by winning over hearts and minds one by one. Because at the end of the day, I know that we're right. Because the core of what we're fighting for is our ability to live in an honest life, openly loving who we naturally love. I'm simply one voice, but I think I speak for many, and I thank you for hearing what I have to say and for giving me this award tonight. Thank you very much.